Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Firefighters podcast, where we seek to develop, inspire, and motivate the world of the emergency services operator through a series of wide-ranging conversations. Now, before we go any further, just hit that rate, follow, or subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to. It's a key performance indicator for us and helps us reach even more people. Now, here's what we've got for you today. So we tried something a little unique on today's podcast. Following the British Firefighter Challenge, we wanted to do like an athlete roundup. Honestly, it was such a great event this year. We wanted to capture kind of people's thoughts and experiences. There was loads of new athletes there. We had so many more relay teams than we've ever had before. And to be honest, it was just such a successful event this year that we wanted to really try and capture that. So we did something kind of new. We've had a whole bunch of athletes on today's call. There's like 9 people, so let us know your thoughts. Let us know how it comes across. I really enjoyed it. It was incredible. We had such a unique group of people, serving and retired firefighters on the call today. Let us know what you think of it. And if this kind of format works, then maybe we'll look at throwing it in every now and again to be able to capture that diverse range of people that we have in our incredible fire and rescue service. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Before I go, just a final thanks to everyone that competed in the British Firefighter Challenge this year. Really was such a special event. Next year's event will be in Greater Manchester. It runs on the final weekend in July every single year, and the registration details and stuff will be in the link for British Firefighter Challenge. You can have a look at that. I'll see you all soon. James, can you just kick us off with where the event was and sort of your thoughts on the setup and all that sort of jazz?
The setup as a whole, I think it was good. From the course and everything was done really, really well. The organisation was great. The yellow volunteers, they went above and beyond this year. It was class all around. It was really, really good. It's a great event. My first time doing it in a city centre, which was a whole new experience. Very different to doing it at Morton, which had its pros and cons. Pros for Morton, it was a really good family atmosphere. It was just the fire service. There was no one else. But in the whole on Hull city centre, you've got the whole passers-by getting involved. There was a really good atmosphere, which was cool.
Love it. I mean, Cailin and Chrissy, this was your guys' first year competing in it as well, wasn't you? And I think you kind of unknowingly both done massive amounts of prep. I mean, Cailin, if I can come to you first, how did your prep go for it all? Because you absolutely smashed it this year.
Yeah, well, obviously you were aware of all the prep me, John and Jack and Gary were all doing together. We were doing months and months of prep and training and stuff, as well as just general gym things. So when we were prepping, I mean, we did hammer stuff. We were doing stuff that was to do with the actual course. So it wasn't just like usual gym stuff. And I'm assuming Chrissy was doing very similar stuff because she smashed it as well. So
you guys
a lot about the pre-training.
Different background as well, because yours is like more of a rugby background. I know you've done some fighting and stuff like that, but Chrissy, yours came from like some long distance running and stuff like that. How did you switch up your training for it, and how did you find this year?
It's been quite a hard year, to be fair. I've completely changed everything in the way that I train, and it's been really good. It's what I needed really to do something different. And like Cailin said, I've been doing lots of stuff in the gym, and then lots of stuff in the yard at work as well. Yeah, it's been really good. And then the competition was just the cherry on the cake, really.
Why did you have that drive to do something different? Because I wanted to ask, and I think it was Ryan or somebody that said the other day, some people think of the challenges as kind of an elitist thing, and like you've got to be some supremely fit, incredible person. And I know we're all kind of quite fit, but it scares a lot of people away. This is your first year doing it and you hadn't done any training like it. What was it that gave you that confidence to be able to do it?
I wanted to do it last year, but I just didn't have I guess I just didn't have really the confidence that I could do it. I watched back some of the videos. I found the videos on YouTube, and it came across as being cool. Really friendly and really encouraging. So I thought, well, I can go. And then I found Jay, who's done me some training as well, and sort of put me where I am, really.
How many years have you done it, Amy? Is this your first time getting into it?
No, so that would have been my third. So I did Morton last year, and I also did Bury St Edmunds, however many years ago that was.
Jeez. Oh yeah, Bury St Edmunds. That's the first time I met you, wasn't it? How did you find this year?
It was my favourite by far. Yeah. probably put the most amount of prep in for this year.
Mm.
And we were obviously we took a massive group with us as well. So our the atmosphere for us was pretty electric.
Mm. What was it like training on stations and stuff? Did you do much of it on station, or was it all sort of gym based? And is there any sort of advice you'd give? Because I think this year we certainly had more relay teams than ever, but I think we've had more women than ever as well, because like the second day, usually we're messing about trying to fill in spaces and stuff like that. But I was speaking to Cailin the other day, and we were running right up till 6 p.m. It's almost like we didn't have a chance to get everybody in.
Yeah. So yeah, training wise, we sort of consciously put together quite a big group of us. And I think that makes a massive difference, because the more people you've got training, then everybody kind of has the opportunity to jump in on a session. Primarily, we ran most of our sessions at one of the Gloucester stations. So we kind of built some purpose-made kit for dragging and pulling and stuff like that. And pretty much invited anyone to come along that wanted to. It's always hard to sort of simulate it exactly, isn't it? Unless you've got access to all the kit. So it's always a bit ad hoc. But yeah, we were training at least since January. And the guys that did the guys that did Morton last year, just carried on from then, really, because it was a smaller gap than it normally is. Obviously October to July. Yeah.
Today's episode was once again brought to you by William Wood Watches. With the tagline, once forgotten, now reborn, every single watch has 100 years of firefighting history in it. They take an original Merryweather brass firefighter's helmet worn by firefighters in Britain in the 1920s and melt it inside every single William Wood watch. All of the craftsmanship is carried out in the heart of London, and they are proud to lock in the legacy of the brave firefighting heroes in every single timepiece. I think one of my favourite things about these watches is the fire hose straps. Now, these have gone from landfill to effectively luxury now. They receive fire hose from a massive amount of fire services from all around the world, which has come to the end of its life. The majority of the fire hose around the world is unfortunately ends in landfill usually. They clean the hose, repurpose it, and sew it into the luxury watch straps themselves. I always wear the red one, but when you get your watch, it comes with a series of different ones you can get. You can explore the full range of upcycled straps on their website, and you can see the link in the episode notes. If you head over to their website, you'll be able to check out the Jubilee, the Triumph, the Valiant, the Bronze, and the Chivalrous. All of those watches are available right there, and you can spread the cost of these over 3 to 6 months interest free. So for the pulse of the fire service right there on your wrist, head over to williamwoodwatches.com and take a look.
Chris, we always think that it's really hard to get a lot of people on board with training and stuff like that, because it's not necessarily as popular on lots of stations as it is depending on the watch you're with and all that sort of stuff. You do a lot of training outside of your normal role. What have you found useful in getting other people involved, or how have you managed to get other people involved if you have? Because some people feel like they're out there in the yard by themselves just training.
Well, fortunately, I've just been appointed as a new JO, so that's helped me have some leverage on watch for a bit of yard fitness as such. So I'm quite pro fitness. So whenever I'm planning the shifts, I kind of just put it onto the duty crewing board for the day.
You can't make people do it though, sure. I mean, I've been at stations before, and some people just prefer to go off and do the checks. It's hard to necessarily. I don't think you can force people to get out there onto the yard, whether it's normal training or actually getting out there with some fitness.
Yeah, I can't make them do the group fizz, which I find is good for morale on the watch and stuff like that. However, I do kind of encourage it is a gym time. So unless someone's got a viable reason, if they don't want to take part in the group aspect, then they'll go into the gym and just do their own workout, which is fine with me. It's something, isn't it?
Is this your first year doing it?
It is, yeah.
How did you find the course?
Yeah, really, really good, actually. I've wanted to do it for a couple of years now. I had the shoulder injury for just gone 2 years, so that was a bit of a blocker, along with some mental blockers around taking part, which I overcame by my good friend Ivan, who you met, who booked his ticket, which then egged me on to book mine. But yeah, it was a great course, really good fun. Just enjoyed it really more than anything.
How do you overcome, like you said, that mental barriers? Obviously, you had a friend that did it, but that's something I don't have to get too personal with it. But a lot of people said that, Amy and stuff have referenced it, and Chrissy. What is that mental barrier? People see some of the people that do it as some sort of, I don't know how people view it, but we want to try and break that stigma. What is it about it that you think initially made you not want to do it? Because people might look at you and go, well, he's a fit, healthy guy. What's the problem?
Yeah, this is something my brother and I have discussed, and it's like I'm not a fitness person. I'm a person that enjoys fitness, and that ethos has helped me, as well as I've stopped pedestalizing people that enter the competitions, and actually they're just like good normal people that enjoy just doing something a little bit different. My mate egging me on was a massive thing that helped me overcome the mental barriers, as well as sort of rationalizing irrational thought processes about what ifs, and what if I fall over, or what if I make a mistake, and then I was like, well, actually it's not actually that bad. It's like, let's just carry on and basically crack on with it and have a bit of a laugh whilst doing it.
That making a mistake, though, is always something that I think really worries people. I mean, Ryan, this is you've been coming a couple of times now, but we've seen some nasty injuries and some nasty falls over the time. I mean, Mark Bessim took a hell of a stack this time, and he's really busted his arm up. How did you find the competition this year? Because the times were a lot faster as well, I thought.
Yeah, it's before we obviously took part on the course and what have you, we were training up in Cheshire, and we would, as you do, you kind of time yourself just to give you an idea of what ideas you're going to get on the course and what have you. And when we were timing ourselves training, we were getting a lot more time. So my time, for argument's sake, was probably coming in around about 3:10, 3:15 or something like that while we were training. And then on the course, it ended up being 2:37, which was, it surprised me, to be fair. So it was a relatively quick course. But then obviously you've got to think about the adrenaline when on the course, it's pumping through your body, the atmosphere and stuff like that, and obviously playing the unofficial AC/DC on the course as well. So, everything kind of adds to the adrenaline and the hype of the course as well. So it's just it's a massive buzz, isn't it? And obviously that all adds to you completing the course as quick as you can. Say as quick as you can. We talked about it being elitist and stuff like that, which I completely disagree with. One of the things that I really liked this year was, because of previous years and the way it's been run, and there's been that many competitors, we've had to put a time cap in of 6 minutes. However, this year it was good to actually see people to just let the time run. Although we kind of ran over on both days a little bit longer than we wanted to, but that allowed people just to complete the course. And for me, that was probably a massive ego boost for individuals, just to complete the course and say, do you know what? I've done it. And that's what it's all about. It's about bringing people down to the course, into it, and just letting them run wild, as opposed to being, we're looking out for the elite firefighters. We're not. We're looking out for people that just want to get involved and give it a go, basically, don't we? So
I love that, brother. Gary, this is your first year doing it, isn't it, my man? And I think I'll be right in saying you are our oldest competitor this year at 67. I don't know if you're the oldest we've ever had to be. How did you find the course?
I'm 66, not 67.
Sorry. I
might look 67. The course was great. I mean, the atmosphere, the setup, everything. When I got there, I used to compete years ago internationally in a different sport, and looking at the arena and how it was set up with all the stands and the crowd, and I just thought it was brilliant. I mean, I don't worry about the crowd when I'm doing stuff. I mean, I'm well past that. I don't listen to the crowd or anything like that, but I could imagine it's really sort of inspiring for some people and a bit intimidating for others.
Yeah.
But I thought the way it was set up, I thought it was brilliant. Obviously, I'm a bit of a one-off in this group because I didn't actually manage to complete the course, which I'm, disappointed with. I've watched the video back a couple of times. I don't overanalyze. I just watched it back a couple of times. Look at the timing, see where I lost time, see what things I could have done better, which was, a few. Obviously, I looked quite pedestrian when I was doing it, but I mean, you know why.
Mate, I don't think you look pedestrian at all. And I think the amount of prep you've done for it has been incredible. I mean, we don't have to go into too much detail, but how does this compare to things you've done in the past? Because I know you kind of brush over it and say you've done some stuff in the past. You're international, high-level martial artist for quite a period of your career, and you did 30-something years or whatever it was in the fire service. How is it coming into training like this? Because as much as you feel like you have been retired for a while, I think I'll still be working when I'm 65. I'll still be in the fire service.
Yeah,
a lot of people
you might well be.
our age will probably still be working then. And I don't know, given all the silliness I've done to my body in the past, how have you stayed in shape all up until this point? And what was training different compared to when you did the martial arts?
Well, I've always tried to keep in shape. I started martial arts when I was 15. I joined the fire brigade when I was 18. So I had two good incentives to train. Obviously, I wanted to compete. I wanted to do well in karate. And the drill sessions at the time, back in the 70s, like probably some of the youngsters, your dads might tell you about it. We used to get loads of kit out. Everything was done at the run. The drills were epics, like Lakons off, hauling stuff off, let's get the TL out, every session was mega. So when I went down to Morton and I saw stuff, it just awoke a deep memory deep inside, that, this is brilliant. This is the sort of stuff we used to do. But obviously inside this 66-year-old body, there's a 25-year-old fit bloke wanting to get out. So I watched it and thought, I'd love to have a go at that. I just wanted to be the first old age pensioner to complete the course within the time. So the first time I met up with John, we were going to do some horrendous bloody step runs at the quarry. Cailin will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
About 140 steps or something. I was absolutely, excuse my language, ladies and gentlemen, but I was absolutely fucked when I got to the top. I just thought this isn't going to go very well at all. And I told John about some medical problems. I thought it's just fair to full disclosure, just so he's, if he gets a corpse on his hands, he knows where to deliver me to. Anyway, John, good as gold. If any of you, from wherever you are, if you get the chance to train with John, he's a really, really good coach. He just told me, do what you can. Don't worry if you have to rest a bit more. Don't worry if you need, when we were doing the stair running, if everybody else did 5, I'll probably do 3, But it's just been brilliant to be part of the group. I don't want to monopolise this, but as a retired member, there's quite a lot of people. I'm sure you all know, you check all your kit in, but you can't check in your health conditions. You take them with you into retirement. Like quite a lot of us from back in the 70s, we didn't wear BA so much. Various things. I'm not looking for sympathy here, but it's just factual that a lot of us have got some kind of lung condition or something. So I speak to quite a lot of retired members that are worse off than me, far worse off. And when you've got things like that, you tend to go one way or the other. You either think to yourself, right, I've got this, I'm not happy about it, but I've got to make the most of it if I can. I've got to keep pushing myself, otherwise it's just a race to the bottom. And then you get the other side where you get some of them who think, well, it's like growth and fixed mindset. I've always had the growth mindset. I think if I try harder, I can improve. Other people think, well, I've got this horrible condition. My life's basically over. I can't do any exercise like I used to enjoy in the past. And they tend to get a bit passive, which is the worst possible thing you can do. So just to sum up, I've really enjoyed the training with John and Cailin and Jack and the others, it's been brilliant. My chest condition has improved because I have managed to push myself a little bit. Still not where I'd like to be, still not where I was when I was 25, but I think for any retired member, if you can get them involved, exactly like the youngsters, a lot of them, they're proud people. They've done a physical job. They've probably done good rescues in the past. They're proud people. They don't want to look a chump. Who does? Nobody does. But if you can put it over to people that, everybody's on your side, the support is there. It'd be great if people could train, come along, have a go. I think it'd be brilliant. You don't. At the end of the day, you don't want 250 competitors and 200 of old blokes like me. You don't want that because that would detract from the.
No, you're right. It's striking the balance somewhere in between.
Today's episode is supported by our good friends over at Duty Crew Coffee. Now, as you're probably aware, coffee is the most popular drink worldwide, with over 2.25 billion cups of coffee consumed every single day, and over 70 million of those in the UK alone. Most of this is consumed in our crew rooms, our watch offices, and by our emergency services frontline staff. So when you're getting together around the mess table, don't be drinking no nasty-ass cheap coffee. Nobody likes that guy that brings the cheap stuff. Life is too short to be drinking crap coffee. So if you head on over to dutycrew.co.uk or click the link in the podcast below, you'll be able to jump on over and see the Duty Crew coffee products. They come in 227 gram, oversized, high quality, recyclable standard pouches, and they are individually wrapped 10 gram coffee bags. They're quick, mess-free, convenient. They have a one-way degassing valve, which is an absolute must for storage of freshly roasted coffee. You can get the 20-pack response bag. They've got the HQ, they've got the No Duff, they've got the Unity, the Decaf, and of course, all of their products are Rainforest Alliance certified, Fair Trade Foundation, and most importantly, they taste freaking epic. I started drinking Duty Crew about 2 months ago, and then when I fell in love with it, I got in contact with them and they came on board with the podcast. So jump on over to Duty Crew Coffee if you want some of the good stuff. Now back to the podcast.
James, Ryan, what about yourselves? Because, James, you slipped on the Kaiser this year, and I know, obviously, we said that Mark stacked it.
If you look at Team Cheshire as a whole, staying on our feet seemed quite difficult as a collective this year. Last year, you had Rob, who swan dived over the casualty, being the only person that fell, so I have to get that in there. Then you had myself, who fell over the Kaiser, fell over the hose. Ryan fell over the casualty. Mark fell backwards. So we all had a bit. So for me,
how much of that do you think is adrenaline, Ryan? Because, like, to be fair, James, as well, like, you slipped on the Kaiser, but a guy broke his arm when he did it at the. When was that? That was more. Oh, no, when was that? It was a few years back.
Watford, the guy was it his arm or his leg or something? He did the and yeah, it was a bit touch and go when I seen James do the same thing. It was like, oh, not again. But yeah, it's yeah, I totally agree. It's definitely down to adrenaline because, especially in the team relays and stuff like that, people are just going for it. And because you're only doing a short section of the course as well, you know, people are going, excuse my French, but balls out, aren't they? You know, everybody. So.
I always worry most about the dummy bit. Well, to be fair, I worry most about transition onto the Kaiser, especially when it gets a little bit slippy and stuff like that. And then the final bit, when you get up to the dummy. I mean, girls, is there any particular bit that you think most people struggle with? Because when I was watching some of the girls' races, some really struggled with the haul. And then once they'd nailed that, they were flying after that.
I think the haul was harder than I thought it was going to be. Because the line was slipperier than I thought it was going to be. It was slipperier than the one I trained with at home. And also, in my training, I've not been able to run up the stairs and then immediately haul aloft. So that was a bit of a challenge. And also, I'd not long had COVID, so my lungs weren't at full strength either. So that bit for me was the most difficult, I'd say.
What about yourself, Cailin?
I think it's always, the dummy's always been my nemesis, but also the Kaiser machine I find that really difficult. And as much as we've got it here to train on, I don't think that makes a big difference. Like, I've heard a lot of people say, oh yeah, you're at Leicester this year, you can train on the Kaiser, you'll be good
people
at it.
say come and down, have a go on it. I'm like, it's not really going to make a massive amount of difference.
No, it's a very specific technique that you need to have for it. And I think it requires a lot of training, and people don't realize that when you do the training, you end up with really sore hands for about a week, and you can't hold things and you can't eat. And you can ask Gary, because we've literally texted each other and gone home and said, can you hold your fork to eat your food? Because I can't for about a week. So definitely the Kaiser. And then I think the thing with a dummy is, if you've gassed yourself before, which a lot of the female competitors I think have, because we're basically the same size and weight as the dummy, some of us are smaller. When you get there and you're gassed, you really, really struggle with the dummy. I did that last year, so I found that really difficult. But obviously with the Kaiser, even though I've practiced on it, I was still not exactly as good as I wanted to be, put it that way. So I find those are the two most difficult ones. But I do agree with Chrissy as well about the line. But I've considered myself to be quite good at hauling, but I quite struggled with it this time round because the line was wet and I found it just slipping through my gloves.
Did you ever do anything on the I always just use 2 pulley machines and just cross them over. People always say, using kettlebells and stuff like that. But if you just drop a set of cable pulleys all the way to the bottom and then stand on like a small bench, that's all I've ever done for it. Because as much as people do press-ups and shoulder press and clean and jerks and all that sort of stuff, it's all rear delt work. And people just do not. It's such an immature muscle on so many people. What about yourself, Gary?
Yeah. There was 2 things I found quite hard. I mean, one's bizarre, really. We've been training with a particular BA set, over my career, I must have rolled up thousands and thousands of lengths of hose. So, I mean, I was fairly sure the muscle memory was still there. On the day I got the BA set, I must have put the set on too high up because I just literally could not bend my head back. So you're supposed to look forward, obviously look where you're rolling, but I was looking down, almost behind me. So I mean that was uncomfortable, and it seemed to there was no speed in it at all. But where I really ballsed up, just really didn't work. During training, we had two choices. We had a rescue Randy, which is this bloody horrible thing. It's about your size. It's massive, you know. I was picking it up because I'm on blood thinning medication called rivaroxaban. So I was picking this rescue Randy up, and like my arms were just covered in bruises. I mean, like it was really, you know, quite uncomfortable. So the option at Eastern was to drag a tyre, where, you know, you picked up a belt, dragged it. So you've got the feeling for the weight. But I'll correct this for next year because I want to put this right next year. I wasn't quite used to picking up the dummy, and I just ballsed it up completely. I thought I'd be able to fold it double. Well, of course, because it's got the back plate, I wasn't able to fold it double. I noticed some people were almost sort of like, they were almost doing like a triple extension, almost like a power clean with it, and then dropping down and grabbing it around the waist. Well, I didn't. I just picked up the top third of the dummy. I got it quite low. I mean, my hands were just in front of my balls, basically, and I could feel it draining. So I thought, I'll put it down and I'll try and pick it up better. No chance. It was worse.
Yeah.
And then I did that 2 or 3 times, and as you know, you were right next to me. I mean, I was completely shot.
You've really got to go for a single pickup on that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that do any sort of Olympic lifting or anything like that will appreciate it. When I never used to do any of that, I found it really hard. But getting that mobility, and sometimes it's predominantly ankle mobility, if you can get into a really deep squat and really get your ass to grass, then you only have to get away with that one pickup. Most people just try and bend over at the waist and don't really bend their legs at all.
That's right.
And they just don't get low enough. Like you say, with the rescue Randys, they're nice and rigid. You see in some of the Americans and the Firefit and TFA and stuff like that, it's a rescue Randy, and it'll dig into your forearms, but it effectively holds its own rigidity. So you haven't got to squeeze it as much. Whereas these, and a number of people, I saw it just slip through their hands. I mean, how did you find it, Amy, just to sort of close out? What was your thoughts on the course and any bits that you particularly struggled with?
Yeah, so the course, I think, it doesn't get any easier. That's the one thing. Every time you attend, every time you give it a go, it doesn't seem to get any easier. I think because you just push yourself harder and harder every time. So when we sort of do training sessions and get people involved, we kind of almost make it so that it's a bit harder to begin with. So, you know, in kit and stuff is difficult anyway, but, you know, making sure that they're training with the gloves on and things like that. Because I think particularly for the females, that's what we struggle with, grip strength generally, because our gloves aren't incredible. The casualty is always hard because you want to leave enough in the tank to get there and have it, but you also know that you want to go all out at the beginning. So I'd say particularly for the female participants, it's the haul is something that they worry about because they just don't practice it enough, or they don't have they don't train with it enough, and then it's having that bit left for the casualty. But personally, for me, I think I always worry about not having enough of the casualty at the end.
Really?
I don't know why. I think it just gets in my head. But then it weighs more than I do. It's taller than me.
That's a big thing.
And,
I've said that with a few of the athletes.
Yeah.
It really is. I think if the course was much lighter and much quicker, and there's a few that we're going to do in this year where they are shorter, quicker courses, I become worse and worse because I would say nobody my sort of height or weight should ever win anything like this. I think the optimum weight, and it'd be interesting to see what the guys think, I think the optimum weight is like 12 or 13 stone. You know, I'm up around 18 stone, and I think that's way too heavy for it. But you've got loads of mobility as well, though, Amy, because you do a load of power. You do Olympic lifting and stuff, don't you?
Yeah, try to. I mean, I suffered sort of the last year with my back, so I've done a little bit more to make sure that I'm, because obviously my job involves a lot of lifting and bending. So I've made sure I've been quite key on mobility and stuff. So yeah, it definitely helps when you've got to stand up, bend down with the competition. But sort of just going back to the casualty thing, I know it's probably also one of my favourite things about the competition that the female competitors do exactly the same as the male competitors. And I know for sort of the audience sake, or the people who are walking by, to realise that that's exactly what's happening. I think that, that's one of my favourite things about the competition, because there'll be a lot of men that can't finish it, and there'll be females that smash it out of the park, and it's just, I think, one of my favourite things to watch.
James, what's happening with the Cheshire towards the end of the year? Do we know?
There's nothing been officially set in stone. Obviously,
Useless.
myself.
One bloody job.
Well, it's very much. So we're trying to find a venue, because the venue that we did it in originally is probably not going to be there anymore. It's getting bulldozed. We're having discussions at the minute of 2 other possible venues. Obviously, I've been trying to chat to Hayax to try and get their tower, which they've said not a chance because it's too big to get on the boat. But Mark's leaning more towards just doing the one event. Me being the optimistic person that I am, I want to do the physical and the virtual, because I think the virtuals are really, really good, like baseline just for anyone to get involved. It's a very
I think
good.
The virtual one's less intimidating as well. I think people can go and do that. They haven't got the massive crowd. As much as the crowd cheers you on and stuff like that, it can also be a little bit intimidating. People don't want to fall over in front of everybody seeing them and all that jazz.
And on top of it, with the virtual, if you do fall over, obviously it's all filmed. Unless it's writing, we're not gonna post the video of you falling over.
Anybody with anything else? Chrissy, I know you're coming to the event with us in October. I've never done that one. Any thoughts on how it's going to be any different? I think it's a shorter course, and I think it's a bit. Is it under air? Does anybody know?
It is under air.
Nice.
I'm really looking forward to it. I think I'll say this now, but this might change. That I don't think there'll be as much pressure. I felt quite a lot of pressure for the British Firefighter Challenge, but I think this
won everything.
Will be a lot more. Will just be fun, as much as it can be fun.
It will be. It'll be great. When you go there, we've done Tours 1 and we've done Toughest Firefighter Alive and stuff like that. When you go over and do some of them, and some of them are really long. I forget which one it is because John's not here, but we did one where it's in 4 stages in Germany, and you do all of that under air. So yeah, look, as much as we have the international athletes, the Germans, the French with the Portuguese over last year, we obviously had all the people from Gibraltar. It's really great to see the whole sort of sector growing. We've got the Cheshire, we've got the Welsh, we've got the British. I'm no doubt there's going to be a Scottish start cropping up soon. So I hope everybody makes it over to Greater Manchester. And if anybody has any interest in going and doing an international competition and they want some support or they want some help or they want some people to come along and compete with them or cheer, go ahead and sort of reach out to us. Is there anything anybody else wants to get in before we sort of close it out?
I just want to say how awesome the competition is. So obviously this year, as you said, was like the most females. And I think for people who are a bit worried about taking part or trying it out or giving it a go, there were so many people, specifically, this is me shouting out to all the women, because obviously we had like over 40 women this year.
It's amazing.
And like, if anyone's worried about taking part, don't be, because there were so many women who did it this year. They might not have completed it or they got as far as they could go, but the support was amazing this year. Every person there, like not just females, there were men, there were women, just supporting each other, just encouraging each other, giving each other tips on how to do things. And the atmosphere is amazing. The encouragement, the support you get from all the other firefighters is absolutely epic. And it's like, it doesn't matter if you're a station manager, a watch manager, crew manager, firefighter, brand new to the job, there'll be someone there supporting you. Like I went to Gloucester 2 years ago and like I didn't have anyone with me. It was just on my own, and I just started talking to people. I started talking to Amy, and like everyone's so friendly. You could like Chrissy went on her own this year and got adopted by Cheshire. So like just like don't be scared to have a go. Don't be scared to look like an idiot, because we do that in everyday life anyway. So like if any women want to take part, like I've got loads of people on Instagram. If you want to add me on Instagram, drop me a message. We'll train together. I'm happy to train with anyone. Like you come train with Leicestershire. I've already spoken to Amy and the Gloucester girls. They're hopefully going to come up and train with Leicester. It's a big family. We're a fire family. It doesn't matter if you're fit, unfit, trying to get fit, whatever. Just like come and join the family. Come and get fit with us. It's a load of fun. And yeah, you feel like you might die on the day, but it's worth it when you get the medals. So
absolutely love that. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, if anybody that's on their own, that doesn't really want to come down, Cheshire will adopt anybody. We'll take anybody. We'll have them all.
It's too late now. I've already bigged up Leicester, mate. You can't come jump in now.
They're just trying to snag some good ones for the team. They were trying hard to get that service medal. I know they were. Just the goddamn Leicestershire's too quick.
Sorry, Leicestershire's just top tier.
No, but you're absolutely right. And just to echo that, if anybody wants that support, yeah, the British, the Welsh, the Cheshire, reach out to Cailin, reach out to anybody on the team. And also, what people don't see on the videos is when you get up there, you can step out onto the course, you can have a look at stuff, you can go and have a feel of the hose, you can go and feel what the force machine looks like. It's not just... And people said that. They were standing behind the barriers like, oh, God, I'm doing it later, but can I come and have a go? 100%. Of course you can come and have a go, step out onto the course. And yeah, what I always love most about it is you get to meet everybody's families and their friends and, you know, their brother or their sister or their partner or whatever. It feels really surreal because there's people from all over the world. You know, we get some of our great athletes there. So absolutely love that. Couldn't have articulated it any better. Anything from anybody else? Gary, yourself, brother?
Yeah, Pete, can I just say something? I retired 16 years ago. My main memories for the fire service were in the 70s. And the banter, the messing around, the piss taking was legendary. And over the time since I retired, I've been on fire stations, and as computers have come in, you know, sometimes it's very quiet. There's just people sitting there on computer screens, and everybody's off in different rooms on their phones. And I thought some of the spirit had been lost. I'll be honest with you, but I found it again the other day because the atmosphere amongst the firefighters was exactly like it was in the 70s. Just as strong, just as determined, just having a good time, everybody supporting each other, and it was brilliant. And I really want to put that across, you know, because people talk about the fire brigades change, you know, there's less banter and it's more corporate and all the rest of it. But at an event like the BFC, it was exactly like I remember it, and that's brilliant.
No, 100% agree, mate. And you are right. You know, we try and strip away all of that BS, and underneath it, there are some incredibly passionate people. They just have to gather all the freaks together and put us at events like this, and then we can kind of do whatever we want. And then all the grumpy bastards will just, you know, tut and roll their eyes and put their negative comments on social media. But that's just because they haven't found that passion, or maybe they've lost it at some point in their career. And they're always welcome to come and join us. There's always space for everybody else. Anybody else on some closing points, and then we'll sort of wrap it up.
I personally, I just love watching the competition grow. I think from Bury St Edmunds all those years ago, which seems like forever, but up to Hull, just the competition's been amazing since day one. But just watching it change and the amount of people that get involved, and yeah, I mean, you know that I'm good mates with Ches, and just seeing the way how passionate Ches is about the whole competition, and then every year welcomes us there with open arms and. You know, forgets what service he's in now, thinks he's back in the Greater Gloucester. But just mad. But it's definitely something that I look forward to every year, and dread in equal measures, I think.
Right, and I think it's only going to continue to grow. We're at that really unique point in the UK Fire and Rescue Service. So many people are retiring. Oh God, we're losing all the experience. Yeah, you know what? But so many great people are joining as well. So we're on the crest of that wave, and so many people are more engaged with fitness now. So I'm really excited to see the future of it. I'm really excited to see everybody, if Cheshire can get their head out their ass and organise something for the end of the year. But worst case scenario, we'll wrap round and we'll all be back in for the season again next year. But thanks everybody for coming on. I'm surprised how well we managed to do this, and I'm sure everybody will get a lot of benefit from it. So thank you for taking time out of your evening to sort of join us. And
thanks for sorting, Pete.
All right, gang. Thanks so much. Love you all. And
nice to see you all.
Nice to see you guys.
Bye.
The Firefighters Podcast is a global podcast seeking to develop, inspire, and motivate the world of the emergency services operators. Through a series of wide-ranging conversations celebrating those within our sector, we seek to encourage and support this incredible group of people. It's brought to you by myself, operational firefighter Pete Wakefield, and I speak with individuals from all walks of life who I sincerely believe can add value to or develop those who have chosen this life path. Please support your emergency services wherever you are in the world, and thank you for listening.